My fellow Jet fans, I did not expect to be doing a video on Monday, the 12th of November. Detroit coming up in 6 days. Pivotal game if the Jets want to stay in the playoff hunt. Right now, Chargers got a big win over Miami yesterday, which can be okay. I mean, you got to take it on the good side, which is the fact that Miami is only a game ahead of us. And if we beat Miami in the last game of the season and we're tied with Miami, we have the tiebreaker. So you got to look at it, some good, some bad. But look, bottom line is Jets just have to take care of business. They can't worry about those things. They don't have to worry about those things. They win the games they're supposed to win. They're going to go to the playoffs. But in being that's not why I did the video. We are really becoming divided. I was spot on 2 weeks ago when I said at the end of my post-game report that the media was going to pump up Mike White to just in a level that he just shouldn't be at this point. And it was going to start controversy. That's what it was intended for. Sure enough, that's exactly what they did. And so there was a lot of division last week about Zach and Mike, and understandably so. And then on the post-game report yesterday, I said, well, look, I can see the division is going to probably heat up again because I can see that the media is going to once again back Mike White. And that's what happened. And, see what happens is when the player that they're backing doesn't have like a great game statistically, then you got to talk about how gutsy he is, which, by the way, Mike White is. But that's what they go on. I guess that means Zach's not gutsy. I guess is that what that means? Zach's not gutsy, right? All the sacks and the beating he took last year, that's not gutsy. But Mike's gutsy. So, okay. He is. But let's just make it a Mike White's gutsy thing, and we'll leave Zach out of this because we want to stir trouble. That's what's going on here, and that's why I'm doing the video. I just don't like what I'm seeing in Jet Nation. It's just not very pretty, especially the fact that I think there are a lot of Jet fans out there that are like me, and I'm glad to see it. Not all of them, but there are out there that wish nothing but the best for Mike White, but we're all keeping it real. And that, hey, if Mike White, and I said this in the beginning of the reaction video yesterday, before the game was even played, that if the Jets beat the Bills, that they were going to go to the playoffs, and Mike White was going to lead us there. That's what I said. And I was extremely enthused about that statement. Didn't think they'd win, but enthused about if that could be accomplished yesterday. Mike White was going to be a part of that. Let's go on for the ride. There's nothing wrong with rooting for Mike White in the short term. I mean, why is there anything wrong with that? Why does it have to be more than that? Why does it have to be all or nothing? I don't get it. And why does it have to be either or? I mean, we're in this polarizing society now. I guess that's it. Oh, you got to be Republican or Democrat. Mike White or Zach Wilson. You got to take sides, man. Come on, why? That's not the way it's supposed to be. These guys haven't been playing for 5 or 7 years, and we have all of this data on both of them. We've got some good points from one and bad points from one, same from the other. Let's go at it. Come on, what are we doing here? And I'm sorry, but that's all the locker room wants as well. If Mike White is playing better than Zach, and Mike White and Zach, who reportedly, from Mike's own words and Zach's own words, they get along really well. So if they all get along really well and they all just want to see what's best for the team, especially in the short term, because long term, you just no reason to think about the long term. Anything can happen 6 months or 12 months from now. That's why it's the old adage, one game at a time. Well, same thing, one season at a time. Let's worry about the last 5 games. Let's worry about the last 4 games. That's it. And if Mike White gives the Jets the best chance to win, by golly, Mike, go ahead and go get him. And let's win some football games. And then we can worry about whether Zach Wilson's going to be the guy next year or not. Okay? Can we do that? Apparently not. Apparently not. So let's take a look at my buddy's Facebook page. I've known Steve for high school. High school, man. You're talking, 35 years? That's a long time, give or take. So Steve's got this Facebook page, New York Jets fan page. It's doing really well. As you can see right here, 32.9 thousand members. Awesome. All right, so let's scroll down here. That's him, Steve Belenich. He's got the Croatia deal because he is Croatian. He's part Croatian, part Italian, part American. Actually, he's 100% American, but he's part Croatian, part Italian as well. Go Croatia. I put some money, by the way, Steve, on Croatia today to win the World Cup. They're 7-1. I figured, why not? Okay, so we're going to start with Rich Ziolko, who might actually be, and I'm glad he's at the top, because he might actually have the best post. Because this could have came out of my mouth. Listen, fellow Jet fans, we can all argue over who we think is the better quarterback, Flacco or Zach or White, but in the end, we are all Jet fans and should stick together instead of calling each other names. You morons! Anyway, it's calling each other names, you morons. Now, I don't know if he's saying he's calling them morons or like the fans calling each other morons, but I like it either way. Anyway, hope Mike feels better and Zach learns to the bench, and Flacco tries to mentor these two and uses his experience to teach. Right on, man. With that said, let's go Jets. We still have a shot at this. Let's put this behind us, hit the gym, and focus on next week. It's the Lions. Won't be easy. They beat the Vikings today. Blah, 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 blah. There you go. Awesome. Why can't we all, just like Rich said, why can't we all just stick together instead of calling each other names? And I said this on my YouTube page. I have a viewer who's been around for a long time, and I really admire his dedication. And you could check out the comment page on my YouTube page, and if you want to comment there, you can do that. I could probably even, let's see. Well, I'll do that after this. I could probably go right there and just get right back to here. Actually, you know what? I'll do that after this. All right. So, anyway, that particular viewer believes that I guess it should be White against Zach, and therefore I'm on Zach's side, and I'm not on Mike White's side. Because I'm critical of Mike White, I'm not on his side. Okay, so I'm supposed to be like the media, because they lead this, they've led this, so I'm supposed to be like them, and I'm all in. My chips are all in on Mike White, which means Zach, you're out. It's Mike, no Zach. Zach, get out of here. You stink. It's Mike White. All right? You know, I learned this lesson, I don't know how many years ago, 7 years ago, something like that. The Ryan Fitzpatrick. Interesting that it just occurred in Buffalo, too, but that was the end of the last game of the season. The Ryan Fitzpatrick year, the Fitzmagic year. That's how I felt the entire season, and I talked about it on my show. And by the way, you can go to rlads.com, and if you go down to the rlads section, which, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and do that right now, too. Let me go ahead and do that while I got you on the air. This way I can get both of them up. I should have got them both up in the first place. My YouTube page. I'm going to do that right now. And let's go to the rlads page, okay? So let me get this going. So the rlads page, right here, you see this this OFN? What we have to do is click this OFN, and I could probably even make it a little bit more, okay? Click this OFN, right? On rlads. And this is rlads Football Network right there. Okay? Beautiful. OFN. There I am, laughing it up with Mark Lawrence, legendary handicapper. This dude's been handicapping football games. I think I think he started handicapping football games when he became a Jet fan. All right, probably the week that I actually met Steve in high school. That's how long Mark's been doing this. Anyway, so I'm going to scroll down here because if you go all the way to the bottom, get this ad out of the way. You go all the way to the bottom. You see all these numbers here? 54 and more. You know what that means? Those are all, see how many reports are on here? I don't know what there are. At least 10 or 15 or something on each page times 54 more. What that means is that goes back years to we used to start off doing audio shows. That goes all the way back years. What you'll see and hear on that are the Fitzmagic years. You can find them. I just wanted to bring that point up. Besides the fact that you should always check out ourlads.com, the best depth charts in the business here, of course. Can't talk about that at Our Lads without checking out. There it is. There's the best depth charts in the biz right there. There it is. See? All right there. And you can click on a play. You go, well, Zonovan Knight. Who's Zonovan Knight? Well, there you go. There's Zonovan Knight. There's even a scouting report on Zonovan Knight. Okay? But here, this is also important. The Draft Hub. The reason this is important is because this is going to be taking up a lot of my time. Usually we talk about this right now as Jet fans. Okay, and this is part of the reason why I'm doing this video, because this used to be us for years. This time of year, this is what we talked about, the draft, because our season was over already. It was terrible. We were depressed. It was awful. Anyway, so Dave Syvertson, who right now is the lead scout at Our Lads, has all of his information here. Matter of fact, he has his latest top 96 prospects, and there's going to be so much more coming out on this page that will also be on our YouTube page, which I can go ahead and actually check out now right here. This is our YouTube page at Prime Sports Network. Okay, so if I go, where do I want to go? Let's go post game. Wilson. That should okay. So here's post game. Here's Marco. Here's my long time. Again, I don't know if I have to. I probably should. Yep, let's do that. So here's Marco. Marco has been around a long time, and he starts off by saying that I'm blaming the loss on Mike White, which I never did. Now, is Mike White part of the problem? Yes, he was, because they lost. He was part of the problem. C.J. Mosley, which everybody has pointed out. C.J., I pointed it out. Flacco. I didn't really point Flacco out because, I'm not going to praise Flacco. But when you got like a 35, 36-year-old quarterback that's sitting in the rain and the snow for 2 hours, and you ask that guy to come off the bench, just throw him out there with guys 10, 15 years younger than him, that, by the way, as you know, because you watched the game and saw how much Mike White got tossed around, well, so did Joe Flacco. So as soon as he got out there, he gets tossed around, he fumbles, and I guess Joe Flacco's part of the problem. Now, Mike White's not part of the problem for getting injured, and I say that because the problem I even mentioned yesterday is, hey, we all were critical of Zach, and I was when he got hurt in the preseason game, because and the coaches kind of said that. Zach even said it. You have to play. You got to get on the field. You can't keep getting hurt. Okay, that. There's a lot of prospects, hot prospects, all sorts of sports, and especially a quarterback that don't make it because of injury. And sometimes it becomes psychological because of it, but other times they just can't stay healthy. Well, if you can't play, can't be counted on, that's no good. And we were critical of Zach when he got hurt again in the preseason. What are you doing? Why are you doing something stupid like that? Why are you not putting yourself and giving yourself an opportunity to play this year in the beginning of the season? That's a stupid thing. You better watch out. You get hurt again, your career is in jeopardy because nobody's going to keep waiting for you to stay healthy. Well, you know what? Mike White has played a handful of games in 2 seasons, and he's been hurt both times. You got to stay healthy, man. Okay, because Mike White goes out, Flacco comes in, he's not ready to play, apparently. And again, that probably wasn't the right thing to do for the Jets' sake. I kind of understand why Flacco's the number 2, a veteran guy. You don't probably want to put in a young guy that's head is maybe not right, in that situation if you have to. But how bad can Zach be at this point that he can't be counted on to come in for a few plays if that's what Joe Flacco is going to do? I don't know. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But I think that's why I said the other day, I think at this point, we have to get Zach at the number 2 spot. Otherwise, I'm not sure why we're holding him back there. Because maybe the best thing for Zach, see, if Zach comes in off the bench, whether home or the road, he's playing with house chips, house money, because he's already been benched. He's already been told you're just not ready for prime time just yet. So if he comes in off the bench and doesn't get the job done, well, see, he wasn't supposed to play anyway. He's not getting the job done. Further proof that Mike's going to lead us the rest of the way. But what if Zach comes in, light turns on, something happens, gets him going, all because he came in. We've seen it all the time in all sorts of sports, especially football at the quarterback position. You come in off the bench and boom, you take off. So I believe starting this Sunday, we need to see Zach as the number 2. Mike goes down again. Let's give Zach a chance. Because I'm going to tell you right now, knowing Jet fans, even the ones that have already said, I don't want to see Zach Wilson anymore, okay, that he's done. Matter of fact, didn't Marco say that? That's my reply thing. Get that out of the way. Let's see, because here we had this conversation. You can go there. This is the reason why I'm showing this. You can go to that. This is the post game. Go to that section and we can have a conversation there as well. So Marco said and I think there were a lot of fans on Marco's side that he has a better chance to be the franchise quarterback of the New York Jets than Zach Wilson does. All right. So that's the belief in Marco. We can come back to the whole reason why I did this. Okay. So I don't know why fans have given up on Zach already. I just don't. I really don't see it. The only thing that the starting point for this mess, the only reason why I believe this is happening is because of 2 weeks ago. The infamous, he's not taking accountability speech and the lecture from the media about it. Because I remember taking a look at some of the comments. We talked about this on one of my shows a few weeks ago about, take a look at those comments in the Buffalo game, after the Buffalo game. Zach had such a gutsy performance. Because remember, he did not play well against the Patriots in a game we probably would have won if it wasn't for, what was that? Was that the John Franklin Myers roughing penalty that removed the pick 6? We could have cruised to victory. And even if Zach had one of those games where he only threw the ball 20 times and didn't throw a touchdown pass, but he didn't have a pick, we would have lived with it because we would have beat the Patriots. But instead, we were in a situation forcing Zach to throw the football against Bill Belichick. And hey, I guess Zach's the only young quarterback that doesn't have success against Bill Belichick. So anyway, that did not turn out really well at all. Okay, but that was a team loss. Point was that the very next week, when people were critical of Zach, bad performance, blah, 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 what did he do? He came out and had a gutsy performance, and I thought it was one of his best of his career. That was the game against the Bills when Zach came back, and I don't think I have anything here specific. I got a whole bunch of stats I'm going to get into in just a few minutes, but because I wanted to go over that. But fact is, they beat the Bills. His quarterback rating was pretty high in that game. I don't know if I have it here. And the fact is they beat the Bills. And it was a gutsy performance, and there were a lot of positive comments about Zach and what kind of a game he had. We beat the Bills. We beat the Bills. That was such a big thing, man. Yeah. Matter of fact, Zach 2-0 at that point, 2-1 at that point against the AFC East. Beat the Bills, beat the Dolphins, lost that game to the Patriots that we should have won if it wasn't for that stupid penalty. We were still in good shape. Everything was still okay. Everything was still okay. But in one game and in one post remark, all of a sudden it went from, well, come on, Zach, the rest of the team is playing well. I know we're waiting on you to get better, and that's the whole process. I wish his development would increase a little bit faster to, oh my God, this guy's terrible. Can't take this anymore. He's not taking accountability for himself. Get rid of Zach Wilson. He's no longer our guy. And then Mike White steps in to a rosy situation against a trashy, because we were a trashy team when Trevor Siemian was playing for us. So a trashy team against the Bears, lights it up, and he is the God. It's the Mike White God complex. And all I did after that game was say, just relax. Okay, great performance. And I even said it at the time, hey, if Mike can hold this job down for as long as needed this season, that's great. Go to the playoffs. Maybe we win a game or so. Great. Get Zach's head straight for next season, and then we'll be okay. But unfortunately, what happened was the media just sunk their teeth into pro-White, anti-Zach, and it became inner turmoil for Jet fans between you had to pick one side or the other, Zach or Mike White. And it is just increasing a week later. Did you guys really expect to win the game yesterday? I didn't. I fully expected to lose the game. Question was, okay, how would we play? Would we at least be competitive? How would Mike White play? Okay. Now, Mike White, in my mind, and statistically, quarterback rating, because I said it yesterday on the post-game show before I saw any of the stats, that I thought Mike White played a better game than he played against Minnesota. Even though statistically, with almost 400 yards passing, and he had all those big pass plays, and they came really close to scoring at the end of the game, and it was still all of this. Oh, Mike, and he took that hit, and he's gutsy Mike, and he's a superstar. 59 quarterback rating. This week, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear all the gushing as much, even though there was some. And I'm not surprised by that, of course. But the quarterback rating, much better. What was it? I think it was like over 80. I think it was over 80. It was in the high 70s or 80, low 80s, something like that. Because that's the way it should have been. Okay? But there wasn't anything special about it. Okay, it was a good game. It wasn't great. There wasn't anything for us to be, matter of fact, let's move on down while I'm saying this. Let's go down to, where do we want to go down to next? Tell you what, let's go down to Cassidy Campbell. Okay? Now, Cassidy, I think, went a little bit crazy. Cassidy said, if you're blaming Mike White for this loss, you're delusional and flat out lying to yourself. Now, I don't know who he's commenting that. It wasn't on mine. So maybe there were posts out there about, hey, this is Mike White's fault, which I didn't say it was. I didn't say Mike White's the reason he lost the football game. And then same thing. He brings up Carter, the Flacco, the Mosley play and all that. But here's where he gets a little bit carried away. Mike White has played better the last 3 games than any Jet quarterback in years. Not the case. Cassidy, come on now. Relax. I know you're in the heat of the moment, but relax. Okay? How quickly we forget. Didn't I just talk about how big that Buffalo game was? Because remember, we're talking about a team, the Jets, our team, that had done no winning in the Eastern Division. Nothing. We didn't win any games for years. Okay? And we were just, besides that phony Fitz magic year, which that was me all season. But, the Mike Greenbergs of the world, and there was a fan base out there that I was debating. Same thing. I was debating at the time on my shows about, how Ryan Fitzpatrick and, this is so. It's almost the same thing as far as like this infatuation with this backup, this journeyman with, he's got the beard and, we beat all these bad teams. But when when it was always time for Ryan Fitzpatrick to step up, 90% of the time, especially in the biggest of moments, bang, failed just about every time. So I knew exactly where we were going. We were mortgaging the future on this guy instead of trading away early these older players. Let's move on. Let's get the process started sooner. And this was also around the time that Geno was playing. Now, I'm not going to talk about Geno Smith yet. And I don't even know if I will, period. But I did a lot of sticking up for Geno at that point. He didn't deserve as much of it, and I kind of got away from it myself because at some point his immaturity just got too much. And he just needed to leave, and he did. And it took him a while, and I'm glad to see that he's having success, but you could see that there was something there, that there was talent there. He just didn't land in the right environment, in the right coaching staff, in the right city. Just it wasn't the right time for Geno. And like I said, he needed to grow up himself. So, but that's what I was kind of going back and forth with. Like, why are we wasting our time with this guy when we've got a much more talented player here that we need to see if we've got something in him or not? But that's the way they wanted to go. And sure enough, in a game that meant nothing to the Buffalo Bills, they beat us, knocked us out of the playoffs. So, but I'm not going back there to counter Cassiday's point, because as I was talking about, the Buffalo Bill win when Zach played after the loss to New England, sandwiched in between the two losses, was a very admirable, courageous start. Okay? He did the job. It was a very solid game. The quarterback rating in that game, I'm not sure if I have that, but the quarterback rating in the game was solid. I think it was in the 80s, I think. It was his best game of the year. And just like that, one game, one press conference, it was all over. All right, but that game, I'm sorry, but how is Mike White, either of the performances in the last 2 weeks, better than Zach's against the Buffalo Bills just, 3 weeks ago? What? What are we doing here? We beat the Buffalo Bills, and he was the quarterback, and he made plays in the game. Did you forget about the drive at the end of the game? A lot of running, but did you forget about a couple of those big plays, including the big pass play to Denzel when it mattered the most? Forget all about that. Okay. Now, all we have to do, because this isn't just for Cassidy. I know there's a lot of fans out there who kind of believe what Cassidy said. Because, as a matter of fact, I think if we even scroll down here, Anu, Tony, Littles, true. Okay. So, let's go back to can we just go back to last year first with Zach? Do we all forget after he was injured in his rookie season when he came back and he had the final 5-game stretch where he threw 3 touchdowns, no picks. He didn't throw an interception the last 5 games of the season. He even ran for over 150 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. And do you know who his receiving core was? That the plethora of talent that, as a rookie, that he was throwing to, not including the fact that he did not have an offensive line as good as this year's. Braxton Berrios, Tyler Kroft, Keelan Cole, and Kenny Yeboah. Yes, those were his receivers during this stretch. Okay? You didn't have Garrett Wilson. These guys, don't forget, these guys were injured. The whole group of them. And Garrett wasn't even there. Even Crowder was out. Okay. So then we can even go. Oh, by the way, the Tampa Bay game at the end of last year, that doesn't count. One of these 2 games by Mike White these past 2 weeks were better than Zach's. The loss to Tom Brady and the 12-4 defending champion Bucks. What was it? Week 16 or something like that. Led the game until 15 seconds to go. If we stop them, we win the game with Zach Wilson at quarterback. And in that game, he threw for 234 yards, 1 touchdown, and no picks. But that game, that doesn't count. Not as better than what we've seen the last 2 weeks from Mike White. Not as good. and we can go back to Zach's 4th game as a rookie. Does anybody, do we all just forget the Tennessee game? The beautiful play of Zach chucking it 50 so-bond yards in the end zone. What was that? To Corey for the touchdown and the upset win. Excellent performance in week 4 against Tennessee. I guess we forget about that too. Then we can just go back, because remember, Cassidy said years. So let's talk about our boy, the forgotten Sam Darnold. And good that he's forgotten, by the way. But in 2020, his last year with us, he had 4 games with an 87 or more quarterback rating, including a 99.8 quarterback rating in that upset over the Rams. Remember that one? Remember the upset of the Rams? We all do. It was one of the Sam's best. But you know what? Statistically, it wasn't. Because in 2019, Sam Darnold had 9 games with an 84 or higher quarterback rating and 3 of over 100, including a 2-game stretch of 121 and 127. That was Washington, Vegas, back-to-back, Oakland at the time. 293 yards, 4 touchdowns in the game. Vegas, 315, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Those don't count. Mike White was better the last 2 weeks. Better. We haven't seen that kind of performance in years. It's been years. Oh, and getting back to Zach's last year, 4 out of his last 6 games, because I said the last 5, he had those numbers. But 4 of his last 6 games last year, when he came back from the injury, he had quarterback ratings of 80. By the way, that was his worst out of that stretch of the 4 I'm talking about. He was sacked 6 times in that game, by the way, because remember, we did not have a very good offensive line last year that both Mike White, Zach, and all 3 of them, Joe, get this year. 80, 84, 89, 89. Those don't count. You know why they don't count? Because we weren't very good last year. We were a bad team last year. So those don't count. We haven't seen great quarterback play like this the last couple of weeks in years. Years. Mike White's last 2 games, 57% completion percentage, no touchdowns, 2 picks. We haven't seen quarterback play like that in years. Anyway, enough of those stats. And I could say the same thing, really. By the way, we're all having a good time here, Cassidy. Love the fact that you're passionate about the team. Just wanted to let you know that there are some things that you just forgot. And I understand it. Like I said, I mean, you're passionate and you just, I sometimes that happens to me too. Now let's go down to Matt Parlanti and also Crystal Shed Marshall, because they kind of talked about the same thing. The play calling, the infamous play calling. Another way of forgiving the quarterback that you like when the play calling gets involved. So Matt wants to bring up Tony Romo like if he's some sort of God analyst. Anyway, but they both, Matt and Crystal, got on the coordinator. Last year, how bad was the Jets defense? Pretty bad, wasn't it? It was bad. And all of a sudden, in one season, our defense has been phenomenal. And why is that when the same coaches are there? Talent. Because we have talent. Okay? Talent is the reason. I don't know how good of a defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich is. No idea. Because I don't know, exactly how much, because, Robert Saleh's got a big influence on it. But again, he's got talent to play with now. Big difference. All right? LaFleur, he was a rookie. By the way, they're both rookie coordinators, but rookie coordinator LaFleur last year too. And just like I was saying with Zach, he had a bad offensive line, no receivers, rookie quarterback, on and on and on. So this year, we're more talented, so we expect a little bit more production, right? Well, and look, I have been critical of LaFleur as well. I think he could be doing a better job. There have been times when I think that he's made some really creative, innovative type of play calling, plays, and great. And there are times I'm going, well, what are you doing? I even talked about it a couple of weeks ago. It seems like every time he gets into the 10-yard line, he does jet sweeps and all sorts of weird, plays that he just takes out of his playbook. Instead of can we just go that way? But I'm not going to blame him and say we need a new coordinator, because just like I was saying with Zach, to anybody who thinks that Zach is going to be jettisoned like Darnold, just put those thoughts away, because it's not happening. If you know the relationship of Sal and the LaFleurs, you will know that that's not happening anytime soon. It would take some seriously bad football or some seriously bad chemistry for all of a sudden they go, you know what, it's better for our relationship personally for us to part ways. They're not at that point yet, and nor, I think, should they be. Again, okay, because just like I'm saying, and this includes Mike, Flacco, and Zach, all the quarterbacks. Let's keep in mind, and I said this on the show yesterday, keep in mind that with Mike White, if Breece Hall was in the lineup against the Vikings last week, we win the game. We win the game. Takes pressure off Mike, so he doesn't have to make all the throws, because he's not equipped to make all the throws. He needs help. And without our superstar running back, who he was a superstar this season before he got hurt, and the touchdown machine that he is, would have found a way to get into the end zone in one of those last two drives. Don't have him. Got to live with it. Also, the offensive line, not as good as it was a month ago. Well, that's going to be the case. Now, is it going to turn out to be last year's offensive line? No, but let's keep in mind, no Elijah Vera Tucker. So these things, you just can't ignore them. You just have to put them in the registry of your brain and just say, well, that's part of it. Hopefully we can rise above it. That's what you say. It's like, that's why I was looking at the schedule all along. You say to yourself, okay, well, we got to beat the teams we should beat. I'm not going to blame a loss on Elijah Vera Tucker or not having Breece Hall on the Lions or the Jags. No. Even without those guys, we should be able to beat them. Not saying that those two teams can't beat us. Just that if we want to be a playoff team, you have to beat those teams. No excuses that those particular players aren't there. Still, your talent, the roster you have in place is good enough to beat those two teams. Stepping up in competition. Now, Seattle, I don't believe that's it. Still, I believe the same thing with Seattle. We should still be able to beat Seattle without those players. But when you're talking about the best teams, Minnesota, when you're talking about Miami, the end of the season, Buffalo yesterday, we don't have the ammunition to beat these teams unless other players step up. Okay, now Bam almost did that against the Vikings. Almost. Okay? Mike almost, he made plays. He almost, it was okay, it was gutsy, almost. Okay? But just couldn't get the job done. And yesterday, against the Buffalo Bills, as I said yesterday, hey man, take Josh Allen, flip him on the Jets, and put Mike White on the Bills, and we're winning the game yesterday. That's just football in the NFL. Because that was a game that was there for the taking. But even though Josh Allen didn't have his best game early, and we gave away 7 points, fact is that Josh was able to make a few more plays than Mike was. Part of that is, of course, has to do with the fact that Josh can run around. I mean, there were a couple plays yesterday, as you can see, that Mike, for whatever reason, was just standing there. In that one play where he stood there, the play that got hurt, or almost got really hurt, stood there and allowed the defender to just whack him. I think that was Rousseau. Just whack him. Like, dude, didn't you see the guy coming at you, like, right there in front of your face? Didn't you think of ducking? And then the other play, when he was running away from the pressure, he had gotten away from the initial pressure. And at that point, you're like, okay, throw the ball away, or do you see somebody? And instead, he just kept running and then got sacked. What are you doing? I mean, those are the plays, though, like when Zach was doing them, we were going, oh no, is he going to throw the interception? But recall that the thing that he did a lot better job over the last several games was the last couple of games, the Buffalo game and the New England game, was that he didn't force the ball. Okay, he had that one really weird dipsy doodle against the Patriots, I remember. That was really weird. But he wasn't throwing the ball into coverage, running away from the defender, to make stupid plays. So at least it was looking like that was getting better. But Mike, a couple of plays yesterday, that was unusual because he does the one thing that Mike does a good job of. Okay, there's something interesting about the way Mike plays. You see that he's like one of the best in the NFL in getting rid of the football. Now that helps tremendously for the offensive line, keeps your sack total down, keeps the defense off of you yourself, all that kind of stuff. All that stuff's good. The problem with that sometimes is, and we see that with Mike because he's not a special player, is that when you get rid of the ball that fast, it's like you're just saying, do or die, this is where I'm going. And how many times have we seen over the last couple of starts, he does that, and I'm not going to necessarily say that those are the reasons for his bad throws, because he had bad throws, throwing the ball behind the receiver, but how many times has he thrown the ball into coverage? I mean, the first interception of the first pass of I think it was the first pass of the game against the Vikings. Corey Davis completely covered, throws the ball right into coverage. Gets deflected, picked off. Berrios ended the game yesterday that we had to settle for the field goal. Why is he throwing that football, Braxton Berrios? There's 3 guys around him, and Berrios is this small. So he tends to just be like, I got to go here. I'm going to throw the ball. I get rid of it. I'm not. So there could be some good things for when you do that, but other times it's not so smart to do that. That's why it was very strange when he held on to the ball both times yesterday. It's like, you usually get rid of the ball so fast. Why are you taking that sack, number one? And why are you running away from pressure and not getting rid of the football? So, again, a better game than he played against the Vikings, even though the press gushed all over him against the Vikings. Still praised him yesterday, but praised him more in the Viking game than he did because his stat numbers were a little higher. He threw for over 100 yards more in that game. So to them, that's more exciting. That's better. No, it wasn't better. He had a better game, and the quarterback rating proved it yesterday against the Bills. But what he didn't do, because he's incapable of doing it, because he's not that good, is he can't elevate his team to victory the way Josh Allen was able to. Allen only made a couple of key plays, but you know what? That's all he needed to make, because those key plays led to key touchdowns, something Mike White couldn't do. Mike White, in 2 games, these 2 road games, 2 touchdowns. One, Zonovan Knight, great run into the end zone. Would have been nice to see that against Minnesota. And then the one that we were very fortunate didn't get called back on the quarterback sneak on 4th down. That's it. Those are the 2 touchdowns for Mike White in the last 2 games. But he had such a great game. Perfect quarterback rating against the Bears. Beautiful performance after what we saw in New England. Everything he's been doing after, that's okay. Still okay. Now, all I'm pointing out, again, let's go back to this, is I think it's going to be okay and enough, because I'm going to tell you right now, if Mike White plays the rest of the season, which I think he's going to, if he stays healthy, he plays the rest of the season, and we don't go to the playoffs, I am telling you, and I don't think that's going to happen, but I am telling you, the people that are all this pro Mike better simmer down. Because again, Detroit, Jacksonville, Seattle in the next 3 weeks, if you can't win those games, if you can't beat teams like that, what are we saying here? What are we doing here? We can't be pinning the blame on everybody else. But I think we're going to win those games with Mike at quarterback. I think Mike, I think they're keeping him a quarterback. I think as long as he stays healthy, he's going to be our quarterback. I think we're going to get into the playoffs. I don't know how, but we're going to get there. That's what I believe is going to happen. I even have Mike White on my fantasy team. I have one fantasy football team, and we have a system where when the season ends, you can still hold on to players if you believe they're going to be in the playoffs. So when your fantasy playoffs are over and the real NFL playoffs are there, you can actually still accumulate points, and you're all playing with actual NFL playoff players. So you kind of stockpile at this point in the season players you think are going to be good for the postseason. I have Mike White. So I hate Mike White so much. I am so against Mike White that I have him on my fantasy team. My only fantasy team, too. So, look. No Breece Hall. No Elijah Vera Tucker. Rotating offensive tackles all season long. I mean, we're playing with a bust from the Cincinnati Bengals at offensive tackles that actually hasn't played all that bad. But you get the point. You know, Becton, we all kept our fingers crossed that he'd stay healthy. We know what happened. Let's not go down that road. Our number 2 wide receiver can't stay healthy. Same thing that's going on with whether Zach can stay healthy or Mike can stay healthy. Corey is not staying healthy, and that's a problem because you cannot throw money at Corey Davis that he demands if he's not going to stay healthy. And I know they kind of like him and I like him because he does a lot of little things that you don't see on the field. He's one of those guys, and he does come up with big plays. The catch that he made, that was a great throw by Mike. I said it yesterday. Really nice catch, the one that he got injured on. That's what Corey does. But you got to stay healthy. And so, you know, you also have 3 starting quarterbacks this season. Okay, so this could actually be part of the whole offensive thing if you want to blame LaFleur for that. You don't have your superstar running back. You don't have your top offensive lineman. You have rotating offensive tackles. What do you have, like 6 or 7 at this point? You have 3 starting quarterbacks, and this is LaFleur's fault. So, look, I said this at the very beginning, man. We're 7-6. If you guys woke up in a coma, all right, if you woke up in a coma from the beginning of the season and woke up and saw that the Jets were 7-6, man, you would be peeing in your pants, so happy and ecstatic. Instead, there's bickering. Why is everybody bickering? About what? The Jets right now, if you woke up from a coma and you looked at their schedule, you saw Detroit, Jacksonville, and Seattle coming up and said, wow, I mean, we could go to the playoffs. This is great. Oh, what happened to Zach? Oh, he hasn't played all that well? Yeah, he's kind of... I could see that. You know, he was up and down last year as a rookie, and he hasn't progressed. That's okay. It's unfortunate. But, hey, Mike White played good last year. I'm glad to see that he's playing well. That's awesome. All right, maybe Mike White can lead us to the playoffs. That'd be awesome. What a nice little story. That'd be great. Instead, this is what we have. Instead, we have, you got to be a fan of Zach or you got to be a fan of Mike. Can't be both. Not now, of course, that's not from me. That's also not from Rick, who I opened the show with. Rich. I opened the show with, and I'm glad that there are other fans that feel that way. I really do. But and look, this is what the message boards, I guess, are for. I understand that. I'm not trying to get into this like some sort of really important debate that we're all having here. The fact is, just enjoy the moment, man, and see who's the puppeteer leading you guys. It's the media. You're not going to agree with me, the people who are feeling that way, but it is. I'm sorry. It's just a fact. Because you might have had questions about Zach, about whether he's the guy. We all did. I even said that several times. I said, look, Salah, Douglas, 100% bought in. They are going to get us to where we want to go. Zach, I'm kind of like I was like 50%. I think I got up to like 80% after the Bills game. I still believe he's going to be the guy. Then came the New England game, and then all of a sudden, everything went nuts. And why did it go nuts? It went nuts because the media made it out to be a big story, because that's what they do. And this is why. Because you know what they want to do? Because you go, why do they care whether Jet fans bicker with each other? Because they're going to write about certain stories that you're going to want to read. Because you're getting into these debates with your friends, you got to be prepared. You got to know what's going on. You got to be able to say things like, hey, I'm hearing that in the locker room, they're doing this and they're saying this. Well, where are you getting information from? The beat guys. They're the ones. You're reading their stories, man. You're being suckered into this. Because I know a lot of guys who weren't sure about Zach Wilson like me. Once that story came out about his lack of accountability bullshit, which is exactly what it was, complete and utter bullshit. And I've got those stories you've already seen me talk about. Soon as that came out, then the ones that were kind of on the fence with Zach were like, get out of here, Zach. How can you do this? You have no accountability whatsoever. Just bought hook, line, and sinker what the media was feeding you. You're no good no more. Yeah, like, what's the dude on ESPN? Booger McFarland is such a good analyst that they kicked him out of the Monday night booth, or the Sunday. Yeah, I think it was the Monday night booth because he stinks. Gets tossed into the other job, I guess, in the Monday night show before the games, and has the nerve to come out there, even though Steve Young and the other analysts were like shaking their heads, not approving of what Booger was saying. And Booger goes out there and says that he's just like the dude from UCLA. He's just like Josh Rosen. He's spoiled and pampered, and he doesn't take accountability for anything. Where do you get this from? There is no proof of that whatsoever. I was watching an ESPN show, which I hardly ever do, but I wanted to see, because this is before the Viking game that day, the ESPN game day, and I hadn't seen that all season because I can't stand those. It's just I get nothing out of these people. What are they talking about? So the female host was talking about the white Zach thing and just slammed Zach and brought up the Josh Rosen comparisons. She didn't get that from anyone else but Booger, who everybody knows, just like our boy Rich said. He used the word moron. There you go. Booger's a moron. I like to use the term maroon. I think it's a little bit more, I don't know, friendly. But moron's good too, because that's what Booger is. He's a moron. So this girl, who's a host of an NFL show on Sundays for 3 hours, bought that. And if you think she bought it, then you know a lot of other people did. And even though they may not have known where they heard it, it trickles down from one friend to another, or from one network to another, then this fan base to that fan base, to this group, to that group, to that Facebook, to this Facebook, on and on and on. And it trickles down to where enough Jet fans somehow get it in their head that Zach has a lack of accountability, and that's it. He's out. Don't want to see him anymore. Here's this Mike White guy. Great story. Gutsy kid. I love him. He can't do no wrong. Let's go for it. That's what we're doing right now. Mike White, and I said this yesterday, I would love for Mike White to be around this team for the next however long, 5 years, as Zach's backup. Unless an NFL team wants to sign him in the offseason and give him a deal to be the starting quarterback that is just way too much for the Jets, and they have to let him go. I don't think that's going to happen. But hey, you know what? If Mike White is as good as some Jet fans believe, then that's what's going to happen. Okay? Then other teams are going to want him. And they're going to pay for him. Only takes one general manager. But I would want Mike on this team as a number 2. Why wouldn't you? He's the perfect number 2 quarterback. Perfect. This is exactly what you want from your number 2 quarterback. What's so bad about that? But it's in those rare circumstances that you get the opportunity where you have a young quarterback with the athletic traits that Zach has, that Mike does not have. Because if he did, he wouldn't have barely been drafted. Okay? Just the facts. And because of that, and it's only been, what, 20 games? Less than 20 games? I mean, what are we talking about here? This guy has hardly played into his second season of games. And his first season of games were with just the most ungodly talent and rookie head coach and rookie offensive coordinator. Zach Wilson did not go to a team as a rookie with Andy Reid as his offensive coordinator. That doesn't mean he was going to turn out to be Patrick Mahomes, but don't you think it would have helped him in his maturation if he was put in a more stable environment in his first year? That's what all of this reset is. They know what they have in this kid, and they're going to do whatever they can to not destroy the possibility of him becoming their franchise quarterback, which Mike White will never be. Never. The odds of Mike White being the franchise quarterback of the New York Jets, the only way Mike White becomes and again, there's a big difference between being a franchise quarterback and being a quarterback that is your starter for 3 years. If Zach Wilson, see, this is why it's great to have Mike around, because if Zach doesn't work out, it's great to have Mike around, because Mike could be another good bridge quarterback until we get somebody else. It's not going to happen this offseason. So again, wipe that off the hope tank. You got to look at next offseason, because they'll give Zach, deservedly so, one more offseason and one more chance. And the fact that there are fans out there that already have given up on him for no reason whatsoever, it doesn't. I don't get that. I mean, you're a Jet fan. If you say you're a Jet fan, why do you want a player that has the talent to help you become a special team? Why are you hoping almost that he fails? Why are you pushing him aside? No, I don't want you. I don't want to take the chance on you becoming a great quarterback here. No thanks. I'd rather take a chance with Mike White. I'd rather take my chance with Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's where I just want to dream about those stories of how just great it would be if Mike White would be our franchise quarterback. And I tell you right now, the only thing Mike White would do for us is I think he'd probably, if he was a starter for us for, say, 3-5 years, I think Mike White, his ceiling would probably be Kirk Cousins. It's a good ceiling. He could put up good numbers. He can win games. Maybe go to the postseason. But what are we trying to do here? Again, this is a key question. Are you out to try stealing a Super Bowl, and that's good enough for you? Or do you want to be successful for 10 years and winning several Super Bowls and being in championship games and having that type of team? It cannot be done with Mike White. It just can't. And that's not a knock on him. It's just being realistic. And you can hope all you want, and I'm not going to try to dash anybody's hopes and dreams about Mike White being some sort of savior for this franchise. Go ahead and hope and dream for it. But don't do it at the expense of Zach. When you do it at the expense of Zach, that's when you've lost me. Okay? And we've had the proof that there are enough fans out there that feel the same way. Short term, Mike White, yes. Get us to the playoffs. Let's get some playoff experience, because it also helps Zach, even if he doesn't play, to have playoff experience just being around the team. All of that's great for everybody. But it's got to be Mike or Zach is just, it does no good. It does no good. It serves no purpose. Matter of fact, if I was a member of the press row and I had an opportunity to ask Coach one question, the question I would ask is what do you say to the fan base that's divided right now on either Zach or Mike? What do you say to them? I'd like to see, and I would hope that I would get an honest, good response and no smoke and mirror answers, but at least I would pose the question. I'm getting out of here. Again, check out the YouTube page where we do all of our YouTube channel, where we do all of our Jet coverage. Also, Our Lads, because that is our main partner and sponsor, ourlads.com on the Our Lads Football Network. Again, all of our Jet programming. And by the way, I'm going to be interviewing Jeff Risdon tomorrow, Tuesday. Jeff does a tremendous job covering the Detroit Lions. They have their own YouTube channel, very popular YouTube channel. So we're going to interview Jeff. We've interviewed Jeff several times this season, past 3 seasons. Again, does a great job. Talk about the Detroit Lions and how things are going there. So you can check that out, and then you'll get an inside look about what's going on with with our opponent this week, the Detroit Lions, who are red hot and playing great football. And hey, Goff, there's a guy that was left for dead, and he's proving that he can find a home in the NFL and do just well. But they also know his limitations. They know that, hey, there's only so much they're going to get out of him. But from where they were at, they're going to try to get all of that from the very best that they can get from Jared Goff and surround him with some really good players, which they've been doing a really good job there in Detroit. That's why it's going to be a good game. And of course, by the way, Jacksonville, they were giving up. There was a lot of people giving up on Trevor Lawrence. There were a lot of people just a few weeks ago, and I was one of them, that was getting really close to saying, well, this guy might turn out to be a bust. And look what happened. There was no benching. Why? Because they weren't winning. Just like the Jets. If the Jets weren't winning, you would not see Mike White. Zach Wilson would still be the quarterback. But I understand where Coach is going. I 100% agree with why he's doing it. With Jacksonville, hey, they're not winning. You stick with the quarterback. And now all of a sudden, he's playing his best football of his career. So that will be an interesting game we'll talk about next week. So can't wait for that as well. That's a primetime game, and I certainly hope it's coming off a win. Don't want to be going into that Jacksonville game on 3 straight losses, but I believe we should be able to beat Detroit, and I believe Mike White should be able to play well enough for us to beat Detroit, and I expect that. So I'm looking forward to it. And again, subscribe to our channel over on YouTube. I mean, I say over on. I mean, I'm doing this on YouTube, but I'm kind of almost because of Steve's Facebook page coming across like this is a Jets Facebook page, a Jets Facebook fan page show, which is not, but maybe it will be someday. Anyway, we'll talk to you guys on Sunday after the Detroit game. We'll have our reaction video, which I usually do about 5 o'clock every Sunday. And by the time I edit the show and post it, including the post game, it's usually up on my channel by about 7, 8 o'clock at night every Sunday. Thank goodness, too, for the 1 o'clock games. What I'm going to do for Thursday Night Football, I haven't thought about that yet, but I'll get to that next week. Thanks, everybody, and I hope you guys will check us out on a more permanent basis on not only Jets FM on the All Lads Football Network, but on Prime Sports Network on my YouTube channel. And my friend Steve, all I can say is, besides go Jets, is go Croatia. Oh, and go Michigan, go Blue.